who've lived on the earth before. Pretty crazy advanced idea. But she said that, I think she said that's what Jesus was. Jesus was an oversoul. So like when he died, maybe parts of him came and reincarnated as normal people, trying to do the best or whatever. I don't know. But and she actually said that when she was born conscious and aware of her past lives, and she was like, she's like scared as a baby, like, oh, the angels are going to take me away. The angels are going to take me away, because she said that evil aliens were trying to snatch her soul. It goes into like vampire alien spirits, and I guess it's easier to. She said, now I'll get into the whole background of it, but it's pretty crazy. There's this concept called walk-ons, which are people who, when you die and your soul leaves, because your body's fresh, another soul can enter your body, and then you wake up, and everybody thinks it's the same person, but it's not. And you actually, because it's all ingrained in your brain, which is a highly developed computer, that the walk-on would actually remember the person's life as it was their own, and they don't even know who they are for like 6 months, and they'll wake up and, oh yeah, that's me. I'm the walk-on. I just came here, and so they'll be different. And I think Drunvalo Melchizedek says he's a walk-on. And he like remembered one day suddenly driving down Golden Gate Bridge, and he held a crystal to his head or something. But I guess people like normal people or souls will be born into a body, and then the evil aliens come, but when they're still babies, and they can snatch the body and kick out the soul because they like the DNA or something. It's pretty great. So like they were trying to do that with her because she had the right DNA, and the evil aliens wanted her DNA. And that's why she was freaked out that the angels were going to take her away. But yeah, she talks all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, she said she was Jesus Christ's sister-in-law 2,000 years ago, I think is what she said. So that's pretty wacky. She says she remembers like all of her past lives. Now she doesn't have like a video series talking of the details of all of her past lives, so maybe she doesn't remember her past lives enough to actually talk about them. She just remembers like flashes and segments and stuff, like a lot of us do. But anyways, the history of the universe. She says that 950 billion years ago it would be these like aliens. They started our universe, and so they would. So you would have oversouls. You'd have souls living here, and then you'd have like your guardian souls. So maybe your guardian angel would be like the part of you who's living in a higher dimension, looking over you to try to make sure that you have a good life and you live your license you're supposed to, or whatever, have the experiences you wanted to have, and then you can die and go up there, and then the whole oversoul gets to continue onwards and upwards, continue the path through the life in the universe. And I actually made an analogy. Actually, one of my YouTube videos, somebody was like, yeah, I think my soul is like a spark of light or something like that, and I'm like, my soul is like a loogie. But I'm serious, like maybe soul's like a loogie. It's like a big blob of viscous material that you pull the front, and then it would like pull the whole rest of it along with it, and sometimes little pieces would get fallen aside, so then you have to move the blob back to stick it and pull it back, or maybe you send an emissary little blob back to go and stick it and grab it and bring it back, and then it can be a blob again, right? And maybe if you would blast the blob apart, all the little pieces would, because they're made of the same thing, would conglomerate and become a big blob again. So that's like your soul. And like you as a person would be like a little piece of that, because it would just send little bits off to get little experiences of that. So anyways, she said that there was like a regular life was. Oh, good, I'm starting to go. It was business as usual from 950 billion years ago to 250 billion years ago. So it's like, how could the universe be that old? Well, maybe it's, the universe is beyond the universe that we can see. That's a long time. But they did well. But what happened was, I guess like, oh man, I'm getting this all mixed up. The dates, maybe like 500 billion years ago or something like that. There were these big wars called like the Lyran Wars, and there were these two alien groups that went to war with each other for whatever reason, and it caused problems. and it made it so that the parts of the soul were of, I think both of the warring aliens got like too much negative karma from their warring, and they weren't able to ascend anymore. I guess I would have to explain ascension and do the higher dimension where the other part of their soul was. So then the oversoul was like, uh-oh, and so they sent a whole bunch of souls down to try to grab them. She called it a salvage mission, to try to fix the souls and with the guidance of the oversoul, and to bring them back up. But I guess one of them, maybe it was Metatron, sent a whole bunch of itself, down to salvage the other souls. And but it sent like way too much of it, like way more than anybody normally would, maybe because they thought that it would just increase the chances of bringing them all back. But it was really bad, and all the souls that they sent to save the other souls, to bring the other souls back up, the ones who went down in dimension to reincarnate down a dimension, they forgot who they were, and they got caught up in the negative drama, and they couldn't ascend again when they reincarnated. And so, but anyway, Metatron, I guess it is, ended up sending 89% of his entire soul down there. So the part that was above was like, got sucked down also. It was like the ship got filled up with too much water and sank. And so that's where the whole idea of fallen angels comes. Lucifer is the fallen angel, and they sunk down to the other level. And they, but they wanted to ascend back up to where they were before. And they were like, and it kind of pissed them off that they had to fall down like that again. They're like, you're not supposed to fall down. You're supposed to only ascend to the higher dimension. She says there's like 15 dimensions, and each dimension has like 3 different levels to it. And but I guess I'll get into, I'll get a little bit of sidetrack here. Hopefully I'll remember where I was. But yeah, there's like 15 different dimensions in the universe, and I think we're in like the third. The lowest would be like rocks and stuff. So yeah, we're actually physically in the lowest dimension, the most solid, which vibrates in the lowest vibration. She says there's scalar waves, like the universe is set up as kind of like a grid, a mathematical grid, and everything that's in here moving around is actually working on a static grid. Like the universe is actually static, and everything that moves around is just and that static grid, I guess, would be the scalar wave, I think. And everything's moving around inside the static grid. So it's actually, when you move, you're actually not the same. Physically, you're not the same person as you move. You're just blinking in and off into the new place. Kind of like if you see words going across the screen, those words are made out of just little light bulbs flashing at the right time to make it appear like it's one thing moving across, but it's not. But anyways, yeah. So there's 15 dimensions, and each dimension is higher than, and we're on the lowest dimension. And so I guess rocks would be the lowest, because the rocks only know about themselves, that they exist, but they don't know anybody else exists. And then like the trees, they know that they exist and that other trees exist, but they don't know that anything exists after that. But then there's us. We know that rocks and trees exist, but we don't know that there's like aliens out there, ghosts, But we almost do. I mean, like I do. So that would mean, I guess, that I am in the 4th dimension or something. I don't know. But anyways, physically, though, there's other dimensions. And I guess the Earth, like when Atlantis used to be in another dimension, I guess we fell. Now, I think I got a lot of this information, not from her, but from this YouTube video series that's like 25 parts called The True History of Atlantis, and I recommend watching it. But I guess like the Earth used to be on a higher dimension, like the 5th dimension, or 4th dimension, whatever. Which means that, like the Earth back then and the Earth now, they could collide against each other and we wouldn't even see each other. We just passed through each other, but the Earth went down. So it's like, well, if the Earth went down a dimension and Atlantis went down dimension, how come we can still see rock monuments